LA. We love it. Talk a little bit about that decision and what it was like to bring the show, I should say home, because we're in LA.
Yeah, definitely home. Easy decision to make. We loved our crew in New York, fabulously talented, amazing place to shoot. I think we shot there for reasons that are too boring to articulate here, but my TV career started in New York, so I love shooting there. It's wonderful. But my career started here in Burbank, right? We shot Memento all over LA County. I was a set PA on that film. I was fucking great at it. Better at that than I am at this. And that's how I got to know LA. I had a Thomas guide. I just moved here. Y'all remember. Thank you. Appreciate it. LA is the greatest fucking place in the world to shoot film and television. All the respect and love to all the amazing artists worldwide. This is the place to do this. And to our great sort of horror, we realized when we were shooting season 2, we were here shooting Westworld for 10 years. So we hadn't quite noticed what had happened, right? We were shooting on, Westworld was a big show, an ambitious show, world building show. We had a lot of the same crew that now we're lucky enough to work with on Fallout. We were a little insulated from what had changed here. So it was a shock to us when we came back here with Fallout and realized, the anecdote to me that sums it up best is, usually with our crew, because we have the best fucking crew. When you get to the wrap party, half of them don't show up. Not because they don't love us, I think they do, but because they're busy. Because the best crew is busy, right? They got a commercial, or they got a movie, or they're off to Singapore, or they're doing something, right? We came to the wrap party for this one, everyone was there. And I was like, oh shit, okay. It's a no-brainer to shoot here in Los Angeles, and it's just an honor for us to be able to bring the production back home, and it is home. And I think the results speak for themselves.
We love that. We love that. Okay, we've got to talk about that finale and that final scene. I've seen it several times now, and every single time it is so beautiful. Walton, what was it like getting that script and seeing, you know, what happens, you know, with Bob and the crypto chamber, and what was going through your mind when you read that?
Well, I didn't know if I was going to find them or not, you know, until I got kind of to the end of it. But there were some discussions kind of going back and forth. Well, what does it mean, you know, if he does find Barb and Janie, and what does it mean if he doesn't find them? And to Geneva and Jonah's credit, they don't want to miss a step. And so when I kind of got to that place after being on this journey for 16 hours now, you know, in front of the camera, I felt the way that the ghoul felt, which is that hope springs eternal, and to discover in that moment that your wife and your daughter are alive, and it's the first confirmation that you've received in 200 years. It was quite overwhelming. They set that, Fred directed that episode, and he set the cameras up in a way. He said, what are you going to do? And I said, I really don't know. I'm going to come through that door, and I know that this is the, you know, the cryo chamber that I have to look in. But he put 2 cameras. We only did it like 3 or 4 times, and we did 1 extra shot. And I think everybody, even though we knew that they weren't in the chamber, still every take it felt like they were. And it felt like a supreme letdown at first, and then he finds this card. And so it was really, really cathartic, and I can't wait to see what happens in season 3.
I mean, we're all waiting for season 3, and you know, the other thing that was so beautiful about the whole season too was this dynamic. Ella, I'm coming to you for this question. This whole dynamic, you know, with the ghoul. How would you describe that relationship by the end of the season, given the twists and turns that their relationship takes, particularly from episode 5 onwards?
This is Lucy and the Ghoul.
Yeah.
Yeah, complicated is how I would describe it. It's such a fun sort of journey, I think, for us in season 2. I always like to say we start the season like an old married couple that probably shouldn't be together anymore because they just drive each other crazy and argue all the time, and they're on this sort of like buddy road trip story. And then I think by the end of it, there's this one line that I love that Lucy says where, you know, he's betrayed her and she realizes it and puts it all together. And she says, can't remember the line now, but it's something like, we were just starting to be friends or something like that. And it's like, it's so heartbreaking because you see a version where actually, despite all their differences and trying to influence each other and get on each other's nerves, like there was some sort of camaraderie there. And yeah, maybe the beginning of a friendship.
I agree.
Yeah. And then you go and do something like that.
Well, I mean, once a ghoul, always a ghoul.
But he's hopeful now, so maybe season 3 we'll see what happens. Aaron, I'm coming to you at the end because I love Maximus this season. Yes, you can applaud for that. He's evolved so much. Like, talk about what that was like going on this journey with him, especially like, you know, this dynamic that he could use now with like, you know, his newfound status and the power. And how would you describe Maximus this season, what he goes through?
Hello, check. Thank you. I would describe him as I don't know. I think I really wanted to find something because I've got so attached to the words that Geneva had put on the page. I really wanted to find something that I felt would hopefully be shared with an audience, which is, I think, about the worlds that we all sort of walk into every day. I think we all see a chaos that seems almost beyond repair sometimes. And as much as we all would like, fewer parallels between this show of Fallout and the world that we live in, I couldn't help but want to just experience what I think we all have a shared experience of, is like, where do I even begin if you want to change the world? And I think, Jonah and Geneva had this great idea to share the story of, Maximus's backstory at the beginning of the season. And I think it helps us all to understand that he's got something ingrained in him, a kernel, a seed of goodness, that he's always striving toward the thing. So I think it just really played off in each moment, especially working on film on a show like this, guys. I've never gotten the opportunity to work on film on any other project. It's sad to me because I love film. I'm a photographer myself, but every take can be different because once we get it, we've got it. And we kind of want to move on and be economical about it because it's film. So that's how we take everything. And then we let our brilliant editor, Allie, oh my goodness, take all of that and make it look really.
I love that this show is shot on film, so incredible. Justin, what an addition to the show you were this season, Robert House. Like, talk about the conversations you had with Geneva and Jonathan about like how this character would play out, and also that voice.
I mean, we had multiple conversations before they had sort of, I think you guys sent me like some weird tempy pages. They were sort of like, it's gonna be kind of like this, and then we had lots of conversation around sort of what the character was like and bringing me up to speed on where he existed in the world and the game and then but it really only started to really click and make sense once I was able to read the scripts that he was, and see his sort of the cog that he was in this much grander machine. And then as far as just playing him, I first saw him as kind of like I was never going to play him this way, but a very sort of broad character because he is such a weirdo. And so I sort of saw him as broad, and then it was just about sort of just bringing him down to the right size, and letting him be sort of just odd and fun. And the voice was just sort of like that mid-Atlantic kind of radio announcer voice, RKO style, kind of guy that I just had a lot of fun sort of working in that voice. And then put Walton Goggins, who's got a really fast serve, on the other side of the court. Blast,
Yeah, I was going to say, what was it like for you two working together?
He's been a friend of mine for a long time, and whenever you get the opportunity to work with somebody that you know and respect, the first thing you think is, man, I don't want to fuck this up. Like, you don't want to let him down.
We were really excited, like we're like, yeah, fuck, we're gonna get to work together. This will be so fun. And then you kind of get to set, and you're like, oh shit.
Oh, man.
It's a little bit, you sort of pace each other a little bit. Like,
Oh, you start looking at each other. I don't want to freak him out.
exactly.
Like,
But
I don't.
also,
I'm
but
so
it was all
freaked out.
supportive and love, and so like, but we really within seconds, like we rehearsed that first huge scene that we had for really like a long in TV time, a long time. Like we sort of cleared the set for a couple hours and just talked, walked it because it was this big, massive set. The whole thing was real, and we just sort of rehearsed it like a little mini opera, and then we were like, okay, let's commit it to film, and we had so much fun, like just doing it, and just it's one of those things where sometimes you have jobs and you in retrospect you go, oh fuck, that was really, I should have enjoyed that more. This one I really enjoyed, and I was very conscious of the fact that I was enjoying it while we were doing it.
And Geneva, we have to say this really quickly. It was Geneva and the writers and what they architected between these two people is literally a person who thinks that I understand the world, only to quickly realize that I know nothing about the world. I have no answers to anything, and a guy who has the answers to everything, except for one question. And as a writer, whenever you put two people together with that kind of dynamic, and everything that everybody says, the other person says, is loaded, right? And that's how we kind of came to it. It's so fucking confusing for me, and it was so joyous for him to say all this information. It was really
Also fun to just play a smarter guy
quite cool.
than I am. Like, someone who's a brilliant person, like, because the words are always there for you when you want to sort of put someone to. Thank you.
Geneva's incredible.
Thanks,
Give
Geneva.
that up for Geneva. Speaking of incredible writing, what I did love was Bob's backstory. Frances, you were so phenomenal this season. Talk about, what that was like for you to get to explore.
I was really excited to finally explore or get to the point where we were going to explore her point of view. In season 1, we experienced Barb from Coop's lens, but to then see all that she's carrying, what she's motivated by, from season 1, I believed her when she said she is protecting her family, that's what she's driven by. They each love their family, but the way they express that is different. And for her, it's protection. How do I protect them? She sees around the corner. She sees the fault lines. She's existing the same way everyone else is in pre-war 2077, knowing that this, destruction is coming, but she has information that the average person doesn't have. So to really step into what her fears are, what is weighing on her shoulders, the choices she has to make, I'm not thinking about whether she's good or she's bad or she's doing the right thing for the wrong reasons or the wrong, whatever decision she's making. My job is to really examine, why does she feel like she has to make these decisions? So it really was just fun and a real joy to go to those places of truth for her. And again, I did not know episode to episode where it was going. So and it's a testament to Geneva and our writers that I could just rely on the words that were coming out of her mouth and the circumstances that she was in, and let my instinct and my own, I'm a sensitive person in the sense that I'm very emotionally available. So I remember Geneva telling me in episode 2, she gave me a little bit of a preview of what was going to happen in episode 6, because when I was packing the keepsake box, I said, I understand that she's sad about, Janie not having her things, but it feels like there's something else that is activated here. And with Barb, the audience will experience her in a moment where she's informed by things that have already happened, but the audience is not going to see them until later. So that's when I was like, okay, I need to ask some questions. Like what is operating for her? And Geneva started telling me a little bit about episode 6. And I remember she's telling me about the 5 megaton blast and the 10 megaton blast. And I, as Frances, just started crying because I thought about what that must feel like for Barb to sit there and see the graphic of what that look. And I went to research for myself. What really is a 5 megaton blast? And that is what's on her shoulders. So.
I love that. I'm curious, Jonathan, Geneva, coming back to you, because when you have something like Francis come to you, so, like, what happens in episode 8? Like, how much do you reveal? How much are you like, here's what I need you to play on and trust us, and we'll get you the script when it's ready?
I think we try to, I always want to be as honest as I can be with all of our collaborators, but, of course, Jonah and I sometimes are still having discussions about, hey, do we want to make some changes down the line? So we don't necessarily want to commit to things until they're locked in.
Well,
100%.
I just purposely enjoy withholding information from people. Fuel of my career.
But in cases where, of course, it feels like it's going to inform, the A is speaking to B, and the A side you can't really understand how to play the A side unless you understand a certain thing that we're setting up for later. Of course, we talk about that and we collaborate on it so that everyone can make the most informed decision.
I mean, I had to ask. Moisés, okay, we've got to talk about that roach attack. I don't know what that. I mean, I want to know what your reaction was when you saw that on the script, and then also just the physicality of that sequence. Like, take us through that.
Yeah, no, it was brilliant because, I don't know what I was expecting, but I definitely didn't think that there was going to be 200 rad roaches in the air. What was brilliant was seeing how even improvisationally, like the chair was there and was able to sort of work as a wall that no one else had but Norm. So to be able to see that work out, the roaches follow the rest of the vault dwellers, and I sort of found safety in that sense to then sort of see one of them fall and about to get, hurt, injured, and Norm getting the sort of putting himself in that position that he has to help this person even if they were doing it wrong. And he does this, and by one of the vault dwellers not allowing him into a room, he saves himself, and to see that all come to life once watching the episode was really, really special, because you're reacting to one rubber roach and imagining the rest.
Speaking of saving yourself and sort of making sacrifices, Kyle, again, every single one of these performances were so special and incredible. But, talk about Hank's decision in the end, and, what do you think, made him make that choice to clean, to wipe his own memory instead of coming clean?
Well, it was the one roach, actually. It changed everything. Geneva, you said something interesting about A side, B side. And I hadn't really thought about that before, but in terms of Hank, that's very, very true. Because there's two sides of the record. That's probably for all of us. Because he's a loving father, he's a family man. He has a tremendous responsibility, but he also does things that are, a little extreme. And you have to find out how those can play together. It's on the album, right? So it's got to work, right? The ending to me, I don't really know where this is going to lead. But in my mind, I said, this is the next step. This is the evolution. This next step has to happen in order for what's to come. And so I saw it as sort of a sacrifice, but also inevitable. And the hope is that it opens another door and we get to walk through into another interesting journey. So that was kind of my thinking of why he made the decision. He loves his daughter so much,
And I think he's, but at the same, it has to play out. So that's where I was coming from on that. And I don't know if that has any validity or not. We'll find out, I guess. But that was my thinking.
I want to open this up to the entire panel, so anybody who wants to answer it, feel free. I absolutely love the work of the production design this season, the makeup, the costumes. Shout out to Howard Cummings and his incredible sets. Vincent Van Dyke obviously working, on your prosthetics, and of course Dana Pink. What was it like, going into these costumes, and like how do they help inform your character and where they're going this season? Who wants to answer?
Okay, sure.
Go for it, Walton.
Give me an inch, I'll take a mile. Let's all jump in here. I mean, look, you step on a set that's designed by Howard Cummings. Look, I'm not here to ask for votes or not ask for votes, but I do know, I will say this, I'm asking for your vote. I'm joking. Look, man, I mean, look, hey, Howard Cummings
needs a job.
Hey, man. Nobody's doing this. People are doing something different. We're in our own category. It's its own thing. But across the board, from Howard to Dana to our editor to our DP, everybody, to our writers, to our directors, what was so intimidating about today, because today was the first day where we felt like, fuck, man, we're coming back for season 3. And I sat outside and had a cigarette and a mini panic attack, because I know I'm about to go back to work with some of the greatest artisans working in their fields today, every single day.
I mean that. It's a Mount Everest. This is not like any other thing that
I've ever done, that a lot of us have ever done. And all of these people that are behind that camera, that show up every day, are working at a level that the rest of us can only aspire to. And I genuinely mean that, and I know we all kind of feel that way about every HOD on this show.
Yeah. Just to add to, I think what's so extraordinary about Howard is when Jonah and I talk about what we want to do in the show and what ambitious new things we want to create, we can do so fearlessly because Howard Cummings is a genius. Many of the sets and locations you see in this final episode, some of them are 6 different locations seamlessly brought together to seem like one single one, while others, like the vault, is one of the biggest sets in the whole world that exists. It's a single world that it's like a maze that you can walk through. It's like walking through the actual game itself, all created and conceived by Howard Cummings. So, so much of it's just liberating to work with someone on his level, where you just know whatever insane thing, Jonah and I talk about, he will create, and he'll make it look easy.
Frances, you were going to say something.
Yeah, I wanted to say something about our costumes department and led by Dana Pink. When I think about, one of the many things I love about Barb is her fashion, right? And there's such a wardrobe story happening with Barb that is following her evolution. And that purple Vault-Tec suit, that is like armor, right? The angles, the structure of it. But, Barb lives at the intersection of many things, her strength, her intelligence, all of those things, but her softness, her tenderness. And even in that suit, with all of its kind of more substantial material and structure, and there's the hint of softness in the blouse underneath. That's what she's trying to hold on to. And as she seemingly seems to move away from Vault-Tec after they come together kind of as one, her silhouettes get less structured and they have more movement, and the color palette gets lighter. And when she's with her family, there's a lightness and a movement to her costumes. And so there's, subconsciously when you're watching, you're getting the essence of Barb in that. And that's one thing I really, really appreciate about playing Barb.
Oh, I love that. Todd, I've got to ask you, obviously this season, it's set in, New Vegas. And it, I think to your point, like the sets, this world has become its own character. How important was that, in to uphold that this season and bring that to life?
Yeah, I have to echo the Howard Cummings, just a madman, obsessive in detail, and having lived in the video games and worked on them for decades, to see it come to life in the way that these people have pulled it off has just been incredible. And then you kind of get your feet under you in season 1, and then they want to up the ante in season 2 and go to New Vegas, where it's a city. And so I think for us, always geography, the world of Fallout is a character. And so to bring that world to life and then put these characters into it is just, the work they did is incredible, and the scale of it. I thought there would be more movie magic, right? I come to set and you just built all the shit. Like, where's the, just really, really incredible job to see it come to life the way it did, particularly for us who have lived in it in a different way for so long.
All right, can I just say something really quickly, just since we're not asking for votes here? For the writers and for the directors, really quickly, we balance a lot of different tones in this. I still can't believe Amazon's paying us this, like letting us make this show at this scale. That's batshit crazy, right? But when these directors have to walk that line between comedy and drama, these writers create this world of comedy and drama. Jonah set the tone for this show with the first 3 out of the gate. But the thing that resonates with me and all of us in front of that camera is the privilege of getting to say things that are funny simultaneously, like Aaron.
We're largely in the drama category, Walton. I'm just pointing that out.
But then Aaron says, you know what? Everybody wants to save the world. They just disagree on how to go about it, right? A version of that. The ghoul laying on a pole gets to say, after the funny journey to get there, I'm a man, and I have a family, and I have a daughter, and it means something. So what the world that they've crafted, when there are consequences, there are real consequences, and all of us get the opportunity to say something like that has that kind of meaning, and that's hard to execute, as a writer, and it's hard to photograph as a director. So, not asking for your vote here,
But these are great fucking artists, is what I'm saying.
Jonathan, I'm going to come back to you. When
Thank
you
God.
hear, you're not asking for votes either.
microphone down.
But when you hear that number at the beginning of like how big the second season was, like what does that mean to you in terms of like, oh wait, we've done something and we've built something that people keep coming back for. They're all here. They're waiting for we're waiting for the 3rd season. We want to hear what everybody has to say. But for you, what is that like?
It's just an extraordinary privilege. I mean, I've been lucky in my career to try to work on weird, dark, complicated shit, but it turns out there's a big audience for that, and that's just wonderful, right? It's wonderful. I think we were asked many times, why do we work on the show? What was the origin for it? In truth, the origin was, way back when I played Fallout 3, and I thought it was the fucking weirdest, coolest game I'd ever played. And then lucky enough to have a chance to sit down with Todd, and we sort of had a handshake deal pretty quickly to say we're gonna do this thing. I'd never seen the tone like the games have. The tone is really, it's executed beautifully by Geneva and the whole team. It comes from the games. It comes from the delicious weirdness of these games. So, it's not always the case that something you love is something that millions of people will love. But I've been lucky enough to have that happen a couple times for me, and it's just a wonderful feeling.
Amazing. Aaron, Francis mentioned the word armor, and I was like, wait, I need to ask Aaron about what it was like getting into that costume. And I don't know if it's really a costume in that sense, but talk about putting that on and how that felt.
Oh, Walt, do you want to start?
It's the hardest. It's much harder than becoming the ghoul. I did it for one day, and it was like, nope, no more, please.
Walt called me the other day after you wore it, and he was like, "Hey, brother, hey." Oh, here we are. Gee, look, my buddy made it, guys.
Special guest.
I hope he's gonna let me in there. Just don't kill us. Don't kill us.
But I was gonna say, well, yeah, what was that like getting into?
Oh, but, I mean, this is crazy, guys. I just for a second here. So this is Jeremy. Hey, Jeremy. Yeah. Make sure Jeremy can get a little bit of air. Sit out here and talk.
Thank you, Aaron.
Yeah. But no, this thing is incredibly cumbersome, but it has to be, right? I mean, Jonah, we put this into a lake like week 2 of using this thing. We put it through walls. It's got to be made out of material that's strong and hard, and it's heavy. But it's a remarkable thing to have something built so practical. I mean, the way that I will just stand around it, it's all the work of the imagination done for you as an actor, and you get to reinvest in other things that, you know, get you into a scene. It's the beauty of working with amazing, you know, a crew at Legacy, you know, that can build all of these incredible things in our props department as well, that make this feel more real than it would if it was just a tennis ball or Jeremy with dots on his face, you know, on stilts. You know, this does so much more for us, and I think it's what kind of also makes this thing so exciting, you know, to see the death claws, you know, for the first time, and it's puppeted by 3 people, you know, because they're so massive.
5 people.
5. Well, remotes, right? But yeah, gosh, it's a real undertaking, and it's honestly what really keeps this thing exciting for a lot of us, because, you know, we all know that season 3 is going to bring new things, more fun. You know, we've only scratched the surface of this amazing world, Todd. It's really great. We're excited.
I just want to say, Walton's here stumping the roads. I'm here for Los Angeles. I think one of the things to remember, you know, we shot in New York, but Legacy is based here in LA. Incredible artists that worked with Iron Man. The assumption was that we would have to do the power armor in CG, right? Right from the beginning, it was like, that's how it's going to be done. We had a feeling, we stole a trick from Ridley Scott, who designed the original Exomorph around one very specific movement performer and one beautiful costume. We thought, no, if we have the ability to do it, we should try to do it right. And we did. And I think one of the, you know, the existence of Legacy, the existence of the artists who can make things like this for real is reliant on LA remaining LA, right? We get to do this because for 100 years, people have been making things like this to allow us to make shows practically like this. And that will go away if we stop, you know, if production stop working with vendors like that in LA. So.
Incredible. Well, on that note, I want to say thank you everybody for coming out tonight.